All right, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of hashtag CB99 Talks. This is episode 61. Of course, I'm Combo Breaker 99. All right, y'all, back with another episode. Once again, I think I'm a week behind. I know I dropped like 2 episodes the previous week, but hey, man, word catches up, the grind catches up. Just a lot going on over the past week. As far as fight wise, a lot of stuff to watch. A lot of news going on. So I just been doing live streams and videos with y'all, but I had to come back and do a podcast episode. And yeah, man, just get back on here and chop it up with y'all in this format. But yeah, man, like I said, 2 weeks, about 2 weeks ago, I did 2 episodes. So that kind of makes up for last week. But yeah, this episode here, once again, I'm doing the same thing I did like about a month ago. PFL 4, whenever that fight card took place, I did a whole episode, just recapping the lightweight division, focused on the women. And that's what I'm going to do with this episode with y'all. PFL 6. I want to go back and just kind of give you my thoughts on the fights and break down all 5 fights for y'all. I talked about it yesterday a little bit. We talked about it a lot in the live stream. We talked about it, but we didn't really go by each fight, round by round, so just want to go back and do that with y'all. But overall, I'm not gonna lie, I was entertained. I was one of the ones that was questioning why are the winners fighting the losers in the tournament? Why are they not following the Invicta FC format? I just kind of thought that was strange. Like, what's the purpose of, having them win and move on to have to fight the losers? I thought, you winners fight the winners, like the Invicta FC Phoenix tournament. There's a quarterfinals. There's a semifinal, either quarterfinals, semifinals, and then the final, right? And then that person gets a shot at the belt, or they win a trophy, or they win the belt. That's how it's usually done with the Phoenix tournament series. But I'm still trying to figure out PFL's lightweight tournament angle. Maybe y'all can explain that to me in the comment section if y'all know what it is. But yesterday, I know some of y'all said y'all didn't even pay attention to the tournament. I wanted to see some good fights, and we did. I did get a chance to see some good fights. I think that, there were a couple bangers, there's some good finishes. I think Kayla Harrison, in a way, stepped up her game, which we'll talk about her fight tonight, taking on a veteran, Cindy Danois. So yeah, overall, I was pleased with what we got. I wasn't overall satisfied because, like I said, it wasn't like, the winners, winners fighting the winners. So overall, we got a good night of fights. There was the PFL card. As y'all know, I already saw the Bellator card, and I covered Liz Carmouche and Conor Watanabe, which I'll probably talk about in another episode because I want to talk about defense too. I really want to just break an episode down talking about defense and just rankings in general, man, because like having Conor Watanabe so high in the rankings, I thought that was just like crazy. Like, what has she done, like, from 2019, making her Bellator debut up to this point to get to the number 3 spot when you have fighters like Denise Kielholtz, who are like 5-1 or 6-1 in Bellator, and they've got like 5 finishes. Dynamite Kielholtz has just been blowing people out. So how is she higher than Dynamite Kielholtz? Just stuff like that. So that's something we'll talk about, man. But let's see here. Just pulling up these fights, just going down the fight calendar here as I scroll down. We'll just move through and we'll just discuss each fight. Just as if I was doing a post-fight analysis video. I didn't feel like doing one for each fight, so I'm gonna just do it as a whole episode, same fashion. I'm gonna start doing that from now on. With Invicta and for PFL. So let's see what we got here. All right. So first fight for PFL 6 was Caitlin Young versus Mariana Moraes. And Mariana Moraes, as y'all know, she came away with a split decision over Caitlin Young. Now, I ain't gonna lie, this was a good fight. I think this was probably like the best fight on the card as far as just like banger. There were some solid finishes. There were some highlights in the PFL tournament. But when you just want to watch like a banger with 2 fighters going at it, this was the fight. Caitlin Young, she's got that experience, the striking Viking. She'll put it on you. Then you got Mariana Moraes, who wanted to put on a good show. after that performance, after that defeat to Kayla Harrison. She wanted to go in there and put on a good performance against a veteran in Caitlin Young, and she did that. She came with a split decision. I'm not gonna lie, I thought it could have gone either way. Being a Caitlin fan and just a fan of her technical striking, I was leaning towards Caitlin, but you can't argue that Mariah's, landed more, and she had the takedowns, like 2 or 3 takedowns in the fight. So yeah, I could see Marianne Moraes taking this one. That's what they always see. Don't leave it in the hands of the judges. That goes for both fighters. So other than that, I thought it was a good performance by both fighters. They just went in there and put it all on the line. All right, so round 1, Caitlin Young and Marianne Moraes, right away, they didn't waste any time. They just started letting the strikes go. They met in the center of the octagon and was letting it go. Caitlin Young, I feel like she was landing some good combinations. Moraes, she was clinching well to land good knees. She was landing some good knees at Caitlin Young's body. Every time they would break Young, she would go back to controlling that mid-range and landing her right hand. Moraes, she was having more success in the clinch with those knees. Every time they break, though, Caitlin Young would put that pressure on. She put that pressure back her up with 1-2s. Moraes, she was really making this an interesting striking match. I thought that Caitlin Young would have been more so the favorite and would have just dominated, but it was Marianne Moraes that was keeping the 1-2s in the face of Caitlin Young, but Caitlin Young was coming back with her own solid technical 1-2s. And then Moraes, she would come back in the pocket, land a nice left hook and an overhand right, and she would dip out. Now, if she would have had more power, she probably could have did some damage. But since she didn't have that power, she would land and move. She was doing a good job of sticking and moving. Now, Caitlin Young, she does have a chin. She does have a chin, and she does have that pop on her shot. So she's able to knock Moraes back a few times, but Moraes, she was coming back with some nice leg kicks. Just overall doing a good job of staying on the outside. But there was a point where she stepped out of range, had her hands down. Caitlin Young started putting that pressure on, fired off a big head kick. Big head kick, nearly rocked Moraes. She sends her reeling back. She eats another big head kick. Caitlin Young, she clinches up with her. Moraes in that clinch, I thought she was about to be done, man. I thought that Caitlin Young was going to put some elbows and knees to the body, but Moraes, she gets that judo toss, and Young quickly rolls over. She quickly rolls over, gets the back, finishes the round strong on Moraes' back, lands some good strikes. Close round, but I had to give it to Caitlin Young. I thought she edged it out, did the most damage, and did some impressive things with that takedown. All right, going into round 2, Moraes and Young, they pick it right back up. Moraes, she starts landing that 1-2, and Young, she's landing some good knees to the body. Moraes, she's touching Young, but Young, she's landing the nicer, sharper punches, in my opinion. These are some tough exchanges to call, because you're getting quality and then you're getting quantity. Moraes, she's doing a better job of just touching and moving, and she's landing to that lead leg of Young. So I think that Young, in my opinion, she needed to pump that jab out a bit more, keep Moraes on the end of it. Her being the shorter fighter, you just got to pump that jab out every time she steps in. But I think Caitlin Young went and meeting that mid-range and bang a little bit. So Moraes, she was willing to bang. She was able to get off her right hand and find a home for it. And then when they clinched up again, Moraes, she gets that judo throw, locks up the head of Young. But Young, she's able to slide out, get back up. And when Moraes, lets that weight off of her, she gets back up and they go right back to that stand-up game. Moraes, she sticks out that 1-2, but brings back her hands low, so she eats another head kick. And when she eats this head kick, she takes it a little bit better, and she's able to get out of harm's way. So this round here, I had to say it was another close round, but I had to give this one to Moraes, with that takedown and just the higher work rate. And the last round, round 3, Caitlin Young, she was opening up a bit more now with the kicks, landing to the head, to the body, looking to get that finish, which she needed. But Moraes, she was using that lateral movement, sticking and moving. Moraes, she was letting off more head strikes. Young's work rate kind of went down this round. Young, to me, she needed to go back to setting up those head kicks. The best way to do that, to me, was stick out that jab. I just didn't think that Caitlin Young was jabbing enough. She was landing some good right hands, but Moraes, she was sticking and moving, just touching and just going bop, 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 and moving out the way. Moraes didn't have much on her strikes, so Young was still trying to pressure and close that distance. But Young, she still couldn't get anything off big enough to really hurt Moraes. Still landing the better, sharper punches. Moraes, she was actually able to reverse the takedown attempt from Caitlin Young, because Caitlin Young was trying to get that takedown to secure the round, but she reversed it. Moraes landed some good strikes to finish the round. Overall, I'd have to say that Moraes, I could see her taking the fight 2-1. But Kayla Young, she did land some good punches in this fight. I'm a big fan of Kayla Young, but I just feel like Moraes, she did land a lot of shots. I think the punch stats were like 200 shots. Like they weren't that hard, but she landed like over 200 strikes. Plus the takedowns, I had to say that she edged it out. Moraes is a warrior. I think Kayla Young, she just needed to throw a bit more jabs and kicks to the midsection to break her down. But overall, Moraes, she edged it out. So yeah, shout out to Kayla Young, shout out to Mariana Moraes putting on a good fight. Probably, like I said, to me, the more action-packed fight out of all the lightweight fights. All right, so moving on to the second fight, Taylor Gallardo versus Laura Sanchez. Man, every time I see Laura Sanchez, I'm like, dang, man, she's an Amazon. That girl is huge. She's like 6'1". Taylor Gallardo was coming into this fight at I think 5'6", so she was towering over her big time. But shout out to Taylor Gallardo, man. I mean, she really made some nice adjustments in this fight, for being a much shorter fighter. And overall, this fight here, like I said last night when we talked about in the live stream, was Taylor Gallardo. She just made this a grappling match. She made this a fight where she showcased her jiu-jitsu. And it's always like it's like I always say that, height doesn't mean anything, especially when you're on the ground. When you get the fighter to the ground, both of you are the same height. And that's what Taylor Gallardo did constantly in this fight. She just dominated, took the fight to the ground, always switched levels, just really roughed up and mauled Laura Sanchez every chance she could get. Kept trying to, kept the constant pressure on her and just continuously kept throwing her back. Laura Sanchez was really helpless on her back, and that's where Taylor Gallardo wanted to keep her. But real quick, let's go back and look at the first round. Right away, Gallardo, she was establishing her leg kick. She landed a good leg kick early on just to try to test her out and kind of put those feints on her, getting her offense going, pumping out the jab and dipping her head low and throwing the right hand over the top, which is what you do against a taller fighter. And right away, she shot in for the single leg, took Sanchez down. In the half guard, she was just pinning the taller fighter down, and she was able to get the full guard on getting the full guard to Sanchez. Sanchez, she tried to go for that high guard. She was trying to go for that arm bar, I think, but Gallardo, she was able to push her back to the fence, pin Sanchez's head to the fence so she couldn't get enough space to climb with that guard. So Gallardo was really just using her strength to keep this fight down, land good right hands, just staying active, using her head wisely, really just putting the head in the neck of Sanchez, and Sanchez was just uncomfortable the whole time on the ground. Sanchez, she was able to use the cage, get back to her feet, and to keep from going back down, she was just able to press her back to the fence. But Gallardo, she was locked on and she wasn't letting go. So Gallardo, even whenever they got back to the feet, she was locked on like a leech, and she just kept Sanchez pressed to the fence, even though she was able to defend from that last takedown. But the first round was Gallardo all the way. Second round, Sanchez, she was trying to pump out that jab, which she needed to do. As the taller fighter, you got to pump that jab out, use your length. But Gallardo, she goes to the legs. She starts attacking the legs. Sanchez, she's able to land the right hand. Gallardo, she shoots in for the takedown. But Sanchez, she reverses it. She's able to reverse it, get on the top, get in the half guard, and now she's looking to lock the neck up. She was looking to put that pressure on Gallardo. But Gallardo, she reverses that position, gets on top of Sanchez, has her to the fence, makes it hard for Sanchez to get the high guard once again. And Sanchez, she's trying to get back up this time. Once again, Gallardo, she takes her back and back on top. She's latching on to Sanchez, just putting that weight on her, just out-strengthening and mauling her. Gallardo, she's landing strikes to the body, but not a great deal of damage this round. It's not really like a great deal of damage. She's just doing more so of putting the weight on her and just really trying to wear out Sanchez. Sanchez, she just couldn't get anything done on her. She just couldn't get it back to her feet, and she was stuck on her back. So this was another Gallardo round. Last round, Taylor Gallardo, she charges right back in, picks up right where she left off, goes into that clinch, takes Sanchez down once again. Sanchez, she tried to get back up. She tried to use that fence. Gallardo, she was just controlling the hips nicely, and she was able to pull her back down. Back to the feet, Sanchez just really needed to land some knees in that clinch or find some way to break and just put the range between them. But Gallardo just had this game plan of just staying latched on and just mauling her, and it was working. Gallardo had an answer for everything Sanchez didn't have an answer for anything Gallardo was bringing. Sanchez back to the fence. Gallardo slams her back down, side control. She's sapping the energy of Sanchez. She goes to that full mount, and she starts to let the strikes go. But Sanchez, she's able to slip out of the full mount, and she winds up on top in the closed guard of Gallardo. But Gallardo, she's really showcasing that good groundwork here. She's pulling Sanchez in close to avoid those strikes, It's another dominant round, even off of the back for Taylor Goddard. Overall, she just fought a smart fight. She pretty much pitched the shutout, in my opinion. It was just a smart fight of her using her ground game against a much taller, longer fighter, and just continuously trying to wrestle her down and keep her down. Just continuously wrestling her down and keeping her down to avoid the striking. Similar to how Holly Holm did to Megan Anderson, just on a lower level. Holly Holm went in that fight and she just put the pressure on the tall, long fighter with the power and kept her down the whole fight. That's simply what Taylor Goddard did against Laura Sanchez. So shout out to Taylor Goddard showcasing that ground game in this fight. And like I said, made the adjustments against a much taller, longer fighter. All right, third fight, Jenna Fabian versus Yulia Pacheco. Battle of the Amazons, man. Both of these ladies stand at 6 foot even. I mean, wow. Look, the lightweights, they're bringing them. They're bringing the big ladies and they're bringing the knockouts. Jenna Fabian went in there, showcased that power in this fight, show what type of stand-up force she can bring and what type of offense she has. I mean, she went in there, landed a good head kick in this fight and a nice left hook. She just controlled this fight from the jump. And it all came down to body language and footwork. Something I've been talking about a lot in my past few videos. Just you could see the assertiveness, the pressure, the effective pressure that Fabian was able to establish early on just with her stance and just how she was able to control, that octagon generalship. She was able to control Pacheco. She kept her moving on the back foot. Pacheco could never get anything off except a leg kick. She couldn't get a jab off. She really couldn't land anything big. So Fabian just continued to put that pressure on her, walk her down wherever she wanted, turn her in every direction, was able to set up a nice head kick and a nice left hook, and was able to score a good second round TKO. So real quick, looking back at the first round, Jenna Fabian came right out in that poised stance, just backing Pacheco up, measuring her nice, letting the left hands go, just touching her everywhere, touching that lead leg of Pacheco and just keeping her on that back foot. Pacheco on that back foot, not really able to set anything up as she's backing up. She's just kind of pawing out with the jab, while Fabian, she continues to land the straight left hand to the head and to the body. Good shot right to the breadbasket that she's sticking on her. Fabian, she's finding that range nicely with the left body shot and the right hook. The right hook lands over the top one time and rocks Pacheco, and they clinched up. And on the break, a hard left hand lands for Fabian. Pacheco, she's smiling. She's smiling, and that's letting us know that these shots are connecting. So whenever fighters smile like that, we know that they're hurt. So Fabian, once again, she clinches up, lands some good knees to the body, but at the range, the work was very impressive of Fabian. Every time they would go at mid-range or Pacheco would try to step completely out of range, Pacheco would get walked down by Fabian, and she would just not land some nice straight left hands down the pipe. Just overall, Jenna Fabian dominating the round, dictating the pace of it, just landed some nice straight shots. All right, second round. Like I said, man, body language is everything. Body language is everything in a fight, and you can see the position of Fabian's feet versus Pacheco's feet. Just go back and watch this fight and actually watch the footwork of both of these fighters. Fabian, she's more planted and ready to set up power shots. She's much more comfortable in committing. And Pacheco, it's more so like she's on the move, like she's trying to avoid big shots. She's constantly on the bike, not really trying to set up any counters or any traps. She's just trying to get out of harm's way. All I think she was able to land that was effective was that leg kick. She would land it like in 2s or 3s, but then she would go on the back foot. Usually she would pay for stepping in. She would pay by eating the left hand whenever she would step in for that leg kick. Fabian, she's still landing that left hand to the body and upstairs, just mixing it up to the legs as well. Fabian, she starts closing that distance, and she lands a hard left hand, knocking Pacheco's mouthpiece out. And Pacheco, she tries to stop the fight to get the mouthpiece herself. So the ref, he actually stops it. But, like they say, you can't do that. You just can't step to the side. You might get knocked out like that. And from here, I'm thinking it's only a matter of time now. Pacheco, she's not really able to get anything off except the leg kick. So Fabian, she's just picking her shots. She's stepping in and out. And then again, in Fabian, she starts to put that pressure on. And she kind of switches her angle here. She's kind of like stepping to the left, like she's trying to set up a trap for Pacheco, and she does. She's backing her up to the fence. And then as she puts that pressure on, boom, she steps in with a hard right head kick that just stuns Pacheco. Pacheco reels back to the fence. Fabian, she follows up with that hard left hook, drops Pacheco, lands a few left hands on the ground. The ref just steps in and stops it. I mean, that left hook had her out. I mean, she was just like shelling up on the mat. It was over. It was done. I was like, wow, man, I thought the head kick was going to knock her out, but that just softened her up when she ate that left hand. Boom, it was done. It was like Larissa Pacheco versus Payak all over again. She ate a big left hand in that fight and crumbled as well. So, yeah, man, shout out to Jenna Fabian. She put on a good performance. And I think out of everybody in the lightweight division, next to Kayla Harrison, she's one to watch out for. And next to Caitlin Young, I think she has some of the best stand-up so far. I think Caitlin Young is much more established, but now out of the winners, I think that Jenna Fabian really showcases, that big threat to last year's winner in Kayla Harrison. I mean, there's some things about her that may need to be cleaned up. Of course, like the stance, you don't want to come in there flat-footed or stationary against Kayla Harrison, but I think she has the counter skills ability. I think she has the counter skills ability, and I think she has the reach and that ability to, measure range that would give Kayla Harrison problems. So yeah, shout out to Jenna Fabian, put on a good solid second round TKO over Yulia Payet. All right. And fourth fight, Larissa Pacheco versus Olena Kolesnik. Pacheco, she continues her savage streak with another first round knockout. Now, I actually missed this fight the first night. I had to go back and watch it later on that night because I had walked in on it, and I saw it already playing out, and I thought it had gone to the second or third round. And I was like, okay, maybe Kolesnik is giving Pacheco some trouble here because it looked like they were banging it out. And, Pacheco was having to really try to maul her and control her. But, when I went back and looked at it, I was like, whoa, it was a shocker. I was like, boom, another big first round knockout for Pacheco. I mean, Pacheco, this looks like a Pacheco we never seen before. I mean, the first time around, the second time around with Kayla Harrison, she looked like a big threat for Kayla. She gave her a tough fight both times. But this time around, she's really looking like, no, this ain't going to happen no more. I'm on a mission. And I'm ready to correct those mistakes. Larissa Pacheco is not taking no for an answer. She is making big statements. She's not leaving it in the hands of the judges. She's training for stoppages. And that's what I'm talking about. With fighters, always get that raw end of the decision. Y'all got to become knockout artists. Y'all got to take it in your own hands. Y'all got to start landing big shots. That's what Larissa Pacheco does. First round, Pacheco, she starts picking her shots. She's landing good power shots. They're basically setting a high pace already. She's landing the straight right hand as Kolesnik comes in swinging, landing bombs of her own. But Pacheco, she's taking these shots. Pacheco, she takes a few shots. She clinches up, presses Kolesnik to the fence to slow it down. I expected this type of fight, though. I expected this from Kolesnik, to go after it. Kolesnik, she was putting that pressure on, tagging Pacheco in combinations. Pacheco still being patient, going to the body, picking her shots, picking the more, sharper, effective shots. And again, slowing it down with the clinches to try to tire Kolesnik out because Kolesnik's not really a grappler. She's a brawler. This fight's more like accurate puncher versus the brawler. I think that Kolesnik, she likes to box and move. But when you press her to the fence, she's not really a grappler. That type of pace will slow her down. Pacheco just did a good job of slowing the pace down, using her strength to tire out Kolesnik. This was Kolesnik's weaknesses. Back in the center of the octagon, last 30 seconds, Kolesnik, she wanted to brawl. She was dropping her hands and she was like, yo, let's go. She storms out swinging, landing on Pacheco. Pacheco's backing up on the back foot. She's going on that back foot. She's swinging back. She's catching Kolesnik as she's stepping in. But that's the thing, man. When you're on the back foot and you land some sharp shots, all it takes is a little bit of power. It's going to be that oncoming force, that oncoming fighter. When they're coming forward, they're doing like 75 to 80% of the job for you. So you don't even have to hit them with the hardest shot. So left hand lands for Pacheco, followed by a good straight right hand down the pipe, catches Kolesnik as she charges in, and big right hand tags right on the chin and knocks her out. I mean, she's out. Pacheco was done with another first round knockout. Now, the best way to describe this in a technical manner, go back and look at Nunes versus Cyborg. This was a similar fight. I mean, when Chris Cyborg went on the attack, she's coming forward. She's doing the majority of the work for you. She's delivering the pressure and the impact. So all you got to do is throw a nice, straight, accurate shot down the pipe. And when they come head on and they catch that shot, boom, they're out. They'll be out, So Pacheco took that same approach, countering off the back foot, threw out a good, straight, accurate shot, and boom, Kolesnik did most of the work for her, knocked herself out. Shout out to Pacheco. Shout out to Kolesnik, though. I like the fact Kolesnik likes to go in there, bang. She showed some heart. But Pacheco, she's just on a mission right now. You can't stop her. She's looking to right those wrongs and she wants to get that rubber match with Kayla Harrison. So yeah, man, good first round knockout for Pacheco. Definitely looking like a savage. All right, y'all. And the last fight, the main event for the women, Kayla Harrison versus Cindy Danois. Kayla Harrison, she goes in there and makes a big statement. She makes a big statement against a veteran and Cindy Danois with the first round armbar. Now, before I actually talk about the fight, I do want to say that, Kayla Harrison is a big girl. That's a big woman, and, I had somebody ask me on live stream, what do I think Kayla Harrison walks around at? And walking around weight, they didn't ask me what the walking around weight was. They asked me the weight that she would come in on fight night. And I said about 175 pounds. I'm not going to lie, 175 pounds. And that's what she looked like on fight night. She made lightweight, but on fight night, she looked like she gained like 20, 25 pounds. I ain't going to lie. Cindy Danois, on the other hand, she still looks small. She came in at like 152. That lets you know that she's not really a lightweight. Cindy Danois could fight at featherweight, yeah. But no, this was too big a weight for her. I mean, Kayla Harrison was just huge in there. I mean, Cindy Danois, I knew she had the experience, but it was really hard for me to say that if she kept it standing, she was going to be able to control Kayla Harrison. Because with a force like Kayla Harrison, who not only, is a judoka, she knows how to shift that weight that she carries. She knows how to use that physical strength. And not only is she so massive, to beat that type of fighter, you have to have a type of athleticism that can counter that. You have to have a little bit more muscle than Cindy Danois had going into this fight. You have to have some type of muscle and physical strength that can counter her. You got to have some size as well. And I think Cindy Danois, she liked the size and the power and the striking skills to really do any damage. Like right away from round one, let's go ahead and talk about the fight. Round one, Cindy Danois went on the back foot like, she was trying to avoid any exchanges from Kayla Harrison. Like she was trying to avoid the takedown right away. Because I said, Cindy Danois, you got to pump the jab out. You got to pump the jab out. You got to tag that lead leg and use angles. But she was more so in defensive posture heading toward the fence. So Kayla Harrison, she's walking her down and boom, she lands a big body kick that you can hear, tags it with the body kick and tags it with the straight left hand. And right away, Cindy Danois gets a little excited. She shoots in for a takedown that just widely misses. So Kayla Harrison, she reverses it. She turns Cindy Danois over and she takes over this position. She's in her guard. And this is what I'm talking about. Like the physique of Kayla Harrison, she uses it to the best of her ability. Like when Cindy Danois tries to close the guard or she tried to climb with the guard, that wide physique, those shoulders were just like busting out the guard. They were just like busting out of Cindy Danois' guard. And she's just like laying on her. Like she's not fully laying on her, but she's just standing over her, putting the weight on her, and she's landing ground and pound. She's hitting with these hard right hands and hard lefts and, just putting that weight on. And then when you get down to the ground, Cindy tries to reverse a couple of positions, but when she does, Kayla just turns her over with ease and boom, she's right back on top of her. She's in that half guard and she's holding her with she's cradling her under her arm, left arm, and just smothering her. And with the right, she's just pummeling her, hitting her with these hard ground and pound shots to the head. And Cindy Danois is just smothered up under her body while she's eating these big shots, So Cindy was just really outgunned and just outsized in this fight. I mean, Cindy tried her best to attempt these arm bars, but like I said, too much strength and too much size for her to really get that guard up on. And Kayla Harrison just landed some nice ground and pound. And she is actually able to transition to a full mount herself and climb higher and finally transition to that arm bar on Kayla Harrison, on Cindy Danois, and lock it in, extend that arm, and boom, Cindy Danois tap. So, yeah, definitely could see how Kayla Harrison pulled this one off with ease. I mean, I know they both have the judo background and the ground game. Cindy has that experience, but Kayla just has much more going for her against this type of opponent. She does have a lot of momentum and, again, physical strength and size that's going to benefit her going into this fight. She knows how to use it. Can't lie. Kayla knows how to use her knows how to use her size because she has the athleticism. So, yeah, man, shout out to Kayla Harrison. She scored a solid fight over a seasoned veteran, and that's what she has to keep doing. That's what I'm talking about. It's not like I dislike Kayla Harrison. I just dislike some of the things that she says. She's so quick to try to rush herself to be the queen in the room with the Nunez's and the Cyborgs. But all I want to see her is work. I just want to see her create her own legacy first. And then we kind of talk of matching fighters up. That's what we see like now in boxing sometimes. Like when fighters can create their own legacy, that's how it was with Mayweather and Pacquiao in the beginning. Like when we went back to 2005, Mayweather was doing his thing, Manny was doing his thing. Then when they got to 2009, 2005, they both had separate legacies, common opponents. And then people said, it's time they fight. That's what Kayla Harrison has to do. Just keep fighting like common names that Nunes and Chris Cyborg get fought. And then we'll say, okay, maybe it's time we make this fight. But now's not the time for her to fight Nunes yet. Nunes is just on another level. Same with Chris Cyborg. Both of these fighters on like top-notch levels. I mean, they're more than just size. They're more than just, physical strength. They're years and years of hard work put in, for just learning every discipline they can. You know what I mean? So it's just something that Kayla Harrison has to kind of learn throughout, her years of, just training and just taking more fights and getting more of an understanding, And I think the more and more caliber of a fighter she steps up to be, and the experienced fighters that she fight, that'll kind of put her in that mindset to say, okay, maybe I do need to pump the brakes a little bit. This fighter was tough, so imagine what Nunes will be like, oh man, this fighter was able to do this to me. Oh man, imagine what Chris will be able to do to me. So, it's just time for her to kind of, just kind of build her own legacy. That's all I want to see. Kayla Harrison build her own legacy for real. But yeah, man, like I said, solid night of fights. PFL 6 turned out to be entertaining. I was entertained, just by all 5 fights. Like I said, banger between Caitlin Young and Mariana Moraes. Mariana Moraes, like I said, won the split decision. Taylor Godardo showed a nice grapple game, throughout the rounds against Laura Sanchez. I enjoyed that one. Jenna Fabian, big knockout over Yulia Payet, battle of the Amazons, like I said. And then Larissa Pacheco just coming through with that savage first round knockout over Olena Kolesnik, just showcasing what she wants to do to Kayla Harrison when she gets there. And then Kayla Harrison, scoring her first round armbar over a vet and Cindy Danois. So yeah, man, overall, good night of fights. We'll see what the matchups look like next go round. Like I said, I'll continue to do episodes like this dedicated to like full women's cards. But yeah, shout out to all the lightweights that came through, made statements, and just put everything on the line. So yeah, man, that's all I got for this episode, guys. Like I said, always make sure y'all subscribe to the YouTube channel, Combo Breaker 99. Subscribe to the podcast, hashtag CV99 Talks on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and Stitcher. Yeah, and Stitcher. Yeah, so yeah, guys, I'll be back with another episode. We'll be talking more about defense and just the rankings, just some different topics I want to discuss, in the world of boxing and WMMA, guys. So yeah, man, like always, I'm Combo Breaker 99. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Make sure y'all subscribe. Peace.